episode 1332 of No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Happy New Year again, and I hope the year is wonderful to you and yours. And I thought I would start the year off with an interview I did on my other show, Job Search Radio. Now, the interview is with Rod Colon, who's a career coach in New Jersey. And Rod was terrific. He spoke about a concept I've been talking about for years called being the CEO of me. And I'll just simply say it's about a 30-minute interview, a little bit less, and I think you'll find it very helpful. And I hope you have a great day. I hope you give the show 5 stars in Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you listen to the show. And I'll just simply say, when we recorded this, we did it as a phone recording. So the audio is not as good as it is now. I'm only going to intersperse these from time to time, but I thought this would be a nice show to kick the year off with. And with that, let's get going.
Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Job Search Radio on webtalkradio.net. I start each show with a job search tip that I call the Job Search Insider. And today's tip is about honesty when you apply for a position. Now, most people know that employers are searching the web to find, shall we say, inappropriate behaviors or inconsistencies in what a person's telling them with their resume and what they can find online. But there's an even simpler way that firms are finding out about these inconsistencies. How are they doing it? Easily. And the answer is with their applicant tracking system. I can't tell you how often I look at a resume, go to my own system, see the person's background, and say, what happened to that firm 4 years ago that they said they worked at? It's disappeared from the resume, which sets up a huge red flag. What else is this person lying about? The technology is so easy to work with these days. It's so easy for firms to find, shall we say, these inconsistencies in your background. It just isn't worth doing it anymore. Because you get away with it. Somewhere along the line, a firm is going to do a background check and find that inconsistency, and they're not going to talk with you about it. You're just going to get greeted by security at your desk and escorted out the building. So just don't lie. It's really that simple. So that's my tip for this week. And I'd like to introduce my guest for today's show, who's Rod Colon. Rod is a speaker, author, career coach, and radio host with almost 30 years of experience as a corporate HR management insider and outside agency recruiter. He's created a solution to what for many is a bleak job market career search that's no excuses, Wall Street bred strategy that's proactive and action-oriented and challenges job seekers to manage their lives in job search like a CEO. Rod, welcome to Job Search Radio. Great to have you on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Rod, probably the easiest way I could start off with is let us in on the strategy.
The strategy, coming from a Wall Street background, is simply how do we counter the black hole, which is submitting a resume into a portal and then praying. It's got to be better than that. So the approach has been simply that when we identify opportunities inside an organization, we put together some great paperwork. We call it a value proposition, which is a cover letter in a T account style format, which is on the left-hand side what the client is looking for, right-hand side your experience and results with a powerful resume. And we put it in the hands of our network. That's right, individuals that we know and their friends. Because what's the sense of, getting this whole network if we don't leverage it? And most individuals, most professionals don't leverage it. So that's one part of it, Jeff, is that we really need to take just a completely different approach in our job search strategy, one which is proactive as opposed to passive.
And I want to just pause for a second here and make sure that the listeners understand that I'll call it a T letter that you described. If I heard correctly, and I want to make sure that they have, on the left-hand side is the skills being sought and the experience being sought, and on the right-hand side, what you've done that's relevant. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, and I'll just add a little twist on that too. On the left-hand side is in priority order, not in how the job description is written, but they themselves, as a business owner, as the CEO of Me Inc., they look at what is the client really looking for. And as you know, Jeff, job descriptions are not always written to the priority. It's just written as the best I can do and at that moment. So on the left-hand side, you summarize what are the top 3 to 7 things the client is looking for. And on the right-hand side, almost as a table, on the right-hand side, you put what's your experience and what was the result for each one. Powerful tool in helping your advocates inside the organization to tell a good story about you.
Fabulous. And you use the term that I know you use all the time, the CEO of me. Could you explain that to the listeners, please?
Sure. Think of it this way. We're business owners, and what is it that we own? We own Me Inc. You replace the word me with your name, and you are the CEO now of a business, a wonderful business, a great business, which is you. Your board of directors happens to be your family, your loved ones, those that you work hard for. And now as a business owner, we take business logic, business rationale in how we manage our network, how we manage our job search, how we manage all aspects from what's our brand, what's our pitch, what are our great skills. You know, for many of us, the thought of having greatness or great skills is not something that was discussed in the kitchen table at home. So we need to now start looking at things differently and being very much business owners, because when you are the CEO of Me, in essence, you'd make significantly better business decisions where most times individuals in the job search are making, in essence, personal, emotional decisions that may not always be in their best interest.
So in creating this new attitude of the CEO of Me, I know that is a shift for many people to actually think of themselves in this sort of what for many may seem grandiose way, but is actually the smartest approach to take in creating a career. So where do people start when they philosophically start to think that way? What's the first place that they should work with?
Yeah, great question, Jeff. What many individuals who I coach, they also look at me that way and say, look, Rod, I'm just looking for a job. I say, I understand, but in the 21st century, we have to think beyond, what was in the 20th century. So the first thing that we need to look at is accept that we're running a business. Okay, and then the second question then is, well, what is it that I'm running? What is it that I'm really good at? What are the skill sets that I have? What have I accomplished? And then with that is, well, what's the market demand for my skills? So if I work with many in the pharmaceutical industry, and many of those skills have either just left completely or have been moved to another region or part of the world. So I asked them, well, what are the skills that they're great at, and what's the market demand? For many, the market demand for those skills is fairly low. And I'm not saying so what you're doing is bad or wrong or ineffective. It's just what you do, which is really well, it's just not in demand. So it's not that you're bad. It's just simply the market doesn't demand it anymore. But what are some of the other skills that you have that the market does demand? Well, it may mean that those skills may mean that you're going to have to take a step back, to take a step sideways, to grow, to get some additional education. And for many, that's extremely frustrating. But for a business, looking at it that way, they know that sometimes I may have to move one niche market to move over, take a step back, go across, to move up. And that's the way we think about it. It's not personal. It's not emotional. But this is where we just look at it from a business rationale. And I see a lot of people succeeding that way. But the whole aspect of it, can say, well, I'm going to run a business, and here I am. Well, it takes a little time to make that. It's a mindset shift. If you think about it, what I'm asking individuals is it's a paradigm shift. Very difficult, but in the 21st century, that's a competitive advantage if you can do it.
And it's a huge shift for many. And it works very well with one of the things that I coach people about, and that is to also look with the end in sight. That is, I know you have this experience as well, Rod. so many people say, I want to be such and such, and they're not anywhere near that point. And thus thinking like a business owner, what skills or experiences do they need to develop in order to get to that point?
Agreed.
Beautiful. So you spoke about that powerful resume and cover letter earlier that gets submitted to a network. What else does someone do as part of proposing themselves once they've identified something interesting?
When an individual identifies an opportunity, we always say, let's get your network involved. Well, what does that actually mean, to get your network involved? For many, it means individuals that they know really well. And that could possibly be maybe 50 or 60 individuals that they know well. So the amount of reach that you have is fairly limited. There's a wonderful tool, and I stress a tool that's out there, which is called LinkedIn. And LinkedIn enables you, through the advanced search feature, to see who your friends know, right? So Jeff and I are on LinkedIn, and those individuals who I know, if Jeff needs an introduction, Jeff will say, Rod, I'd like an introduction to this person. This is the reason why. And as a good connector, and that would be my role as a connector, I introduce Jeff with the individual that Jeff wants to talk to. And we need to leverage that. And actually, I would say that most people, Jeff, just don't do that. And here's the key. They say that they want to leverage their network, but at this point when networking is critically important, they shy away. Well, what actually happens? Well, the individual will say, ooh, I see Sam Smith, who works inside this organization that I'm a really good fit for, really great opening. I see Sam Smith, but I don't know Sam. Sam has his big number 2 next to his name on LinkedIn. So next day,
and for you listeners, that means it's a second-level connection. It's not a primary, but it's someone that's one person. You're one person away from. Sorry to interrupt. Please continue, Rod.
No, that's okay. So now I look at the profile and I say, ooh, I know 3 individuals who know this person, Sam Smith. And so now here's the deliberation. Do I reach out to this person I know or somewhat know, or I haven't spoken to them in 3 years, or not? And this is where most individuals just hesitate and say, oh, no, the first person's too busy. Oh, no, the second person, I haven't spoken to them in 3 years. And, oh, this person, I don't remember meeting them. Right? So this is where, as business owners of our career, this is our data. This is our tool. This is our database of contacts. Having a system that you're responding that way to it means and makes for a very weak network. So I would encourage your audience to look at their LinkedIn level 1s as their frontline, their team, their network, their family, their friends, and feel comfortable in getting this value proposition, the job description, the resume, the cover letter, in the hands of their level 1, and I call them their connectors, for an introduction to the individual inside the organization. Those individuals who do that, who I coach, who do that, are at a significant competitive advantage against their competition.
So if I heard you correctly, at the point that you start looking, you're suggesting that people put their resume into the hands of their level 1 connections right away.
Exactly.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, we have what is called a checklist, right? And we can't go into details here, but this checklist lays out a 10-point strategy as to how to operate each opening. It's almost like a pilot going into, flying his plane. He's going to go in and go through this checklist, and that's all part of the checklist that we have. So the first thing that we want to find is, do we know someone personally inside the organization? Why? So they can go in as an employee referral versus through the portal, what I call the black hole. That's a smart move. Then after doing that, once you have your name as they say, in the hat, so that you're not going to get kicked out or closed out, now you begin to use your network and leveraging your network to speak with individuals inside the organization to find as much business intelligence as possible. Where most individuals fail here is that they look for one individual to be their gopher, to be their messenger, to be their runner, to talk to the manager. That's not what we need. What we want to do is get as much business intelligence as possible about the organization, about the manager, about what's working, and that's where I find significant advantage for the individual. Most individuals, when they ask someone for an introduction to the manager, they fail to recognize all the information that person can provide, not just being their runner, their boy, their gopher, their messenger for them.
And it's so true, Rod. And if you rely upon one person to deliver a resume, you use the example of the work that you do with people in pharma, and I do a lot of work in consulting and financial services. These are organizations with corporate populations the size of a small American city, and the likelihood that person is going to be known to that hiring manager is somewhere between minuscule and non-existent. So what can you do? What use is that person to you? And you've just provided it. Gives you great information and intelligence about the organization, and perhaps they know someone who might be much closer to that hiring manager than they are.
And the thing here, Jeff, is that we don't just call on our advocates inside the organization just for the initial what's going on. We use them through the entire process. So we coach them to talk to them before an interview to get what's going on in the process. Then second round, third round, negotiations, discussions about the compensation or the contract, the agreement. And then when they start, they now have a built-in team that are very excited about their success in joining the organization. And they lead to such a wonderful place that here you are starting in an organization where you have 6, 7, 8 individuals who you know already. That is just a wonderful way to network and to leverage your network and the team. So not only for the whole process of the interviewing and acceptance, but once you're in there and starting to work as well. Powerful, powerful process.
And folks, as a business owner, this is how you need to work. As a headhunter, what Rod is describing is a headhunter's methodology for injecting themselves into a process, working with different people within that organization to fully understand what is going on, to obtain competitive intelligence that will allow your candidate to stand out by comparison to others, guiding them through the search process so that they have good information, actionable information that they can conduct themselves with that's going to allow them to advantage themselves in the interview, in the negotiation, and once they're on board. Beautiful work, Rod.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So we've got a person who's applying for a position. They're using this type of cover letter that you've described. They're working their network. What are the sorts of things go into this model of the CEO of me that you write about?
Well, one of the things that we talk about and in business, and certainly in financial services, we talk about the spot market and the futures market, right? So the spot market is where there's an opportunity that's a 70% or better match, and that's my threshold for me to leverage my network or not. So if an opening is a 50% or 30% or 40% match, there's nothing wrong with submitting it into the black hole. I just don't have high expectations that I'm going to get an interview. So it's like playing the lotto. But when there's a position that's a 70% or better match, that's the threshold that I need to now leverage my network. And we go through the process and you leverage it. But many individuals will say, Jeff, that the market demand for what I do is fairly low. There's not a lot of excitement going on. So what do I do? I said, well, in business we have business development, account management, right, sales and marketing. But for me, Inc., you also have the department and the division of research and development, right? This is the conversations go on. So how do we develop that? Well, simply is for an individual who's just either wants to change their job search direction or the market demand is low, what they want to do is begin to speak to individuals who are currently employed, who do what they do, or hire what they do. And if they're looking to do something different, then also look for individuals who do what you want to do and who hire what you want to do. And as a business owner, there's simply no excuse not to know who these people are. It's like any business not knowing who their potential client is, who their audience is, right? So you need to know that. And it may take a few weeks, a few days, to kind of figure that one out. But once you know the ideal individuals to talk to by title and by keywords in the advanced search of LinkedIn, you now start identifying individuals who are currently employed that you're going to have informational interviews with these individuals, right? And sometimes these individuals are going to be level 2s, friends of your friends. And the same way as we do in the spot market, we're going to ask our friends, our level 1 connections, for an introduction to these individuals. No resume, no T-letter, no cover letter, no job descriptions involved in this, because this is simply exploring. It's purely networking, right? And it's purely getting good business intelligence. So I speak to 5 or 10 individuals who do what I do. I speak to another 2 or 3 individuals who typically hire what I do. And it's not about me giving them a pitch, selling myself. It's simply about what's going on. What's the market like? Who are the best recruiters? Who are the best contract recruiters? Who are the best networking groups? What magazines should I be reading? Where's the excitement in the market for these types of individuals? What are you typically looking for? So it's that type of conversation that goes on. You have, 15 to 30 good conversations over a period of a month. You have now what is called, a good think tank of information, a good focus group that you've leveraged. Many of these individuals may be mentors and sponsors for you down the road. Now, if someone that you're speaking to says, wow, that's interesting that you've done that, I didn't realize you did that, we have an opportunity inside that may be right for you. Now I switch gears from research and development to now sales and marketing and say, hey, Jeff, can you tell me a little bit more about that opportunity? It might be something I would be interested in. Can you send me the job description? Who do I need to talk to? And that's what we call the hidden job market. And that's how you uncover it, by speaking with individuals who do what you do, hire what you do what you want to do, and hire what you want to do. That's, in essence, that's how I work with my clients, which is having them perfecting the spot market and being really good at the informational interview, and what is the hidden job market, Jeff.
A recent guest I had on, Shally Steckerl, spoke about how to find some of these people. And the obvious thing was, of course, using your LinkedIn network directly, doing a quick search and see who you might know. But he then pointed going to a firm's company page. So let's say you've identified a particular firm that you want to target. Of course, I suggested going to the company page, and that's all fine, well, and good. But then he said, if you want to get firms that are similar to that firm that you may not know about, you look in the right-hand column down a ways, and there's an area that says people who looked at this company also looked at, or language to that effect. So you might find a similar organization in a similar line of business with similar types of needs, where you can then attempt to identify people within that firm and thus broaden your informational gathering beyond the obvious into places that you hadn't considered before. And one of the subtleties here is so often, and I'm sure you run into this, Rod, people get input from 1 or 2 people and they think that's the fact. When, as another guest, I think it was Ellis Chase, said, 1 or 2 isn't enough. Now, if you get 5 or 6 people telling you the same thing, then you definitely have a trend, whether positive or negative. So you always have to be going out there. And you spoke about talking to 15 or 20 people in the course of a month. If you're talking to 15 and 20 people in the course of a month for 3 or 4 months, then you definitely can discern patterns that you can build your career around. It's a very nice methodology for continuing to learn, continuing to network, and continuing to build your business over the course of time. Nice approach.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing, Jeff, is that we are truly running a business. So this is not a lip service. This is not just something that you do to land the job. It's a completely different way of managing your career, because once you land, remember that there's a powerful, words that are in that employment agreement, which is, employment at will. And that basically means that I can fire you at any time and you could quit at any time. And we really look at that in those who I coach. I mean, we really understand the power of that word, meaning that there's no loyalty, and that's not a negative. It's simply that's just reality. And based on a good relationship and mutual working relationship, we'll keep the harmony and the process going on. But it is not up to the firm to make sure that I stay on. It is up to me to make sure that I generate the good business intelligence, continue to leverage and grow my network, continue my own education process as well, looking down the road as to what I'm going to be doing. And that's the 21st century. In the 20th century, we didn't have to do that. But in the 21st century, if you want to stay competitive, you must. Or you will, you'll wonder what happened. You'll watch things happen, but you'll never happen to you. So that's the whole thing, that we don't pay a lip service about, I'm a CEO of me till I find a job and then I go back to the 20th century methodology. It just means that anywhere from 3 months to the next in 3 years, the same thing's going to happen to you. It's just you're 6 months to 3 years older.
Excuse the big smile on my face. I'm sure folks can hear it, but your philosophy is just so powerful and so on target. I wish more people followed it. It's the methodology of people in sales. It's the methodology that says, I may have this client today, I may have done this deal today, I may have had this successful sale. What about tomorrow? For you as job hunters, you may have a job today, and unfortunately, even though you may have done wonderful work for many years, one day you may get that knock at the door and be invited into the conference room where HR is there, your manager is there, and some person you've never seen is there, basically letting you go. Too many people have learned the hard way during these recessions that we've had that they need to continue to build their network. They need to look out for their own interests because the institution that they work for doesn't have their interests in mind. And thus to put themselves in the position where they can be found and reached out to by corporate and third-party recruiters and to listen to opportunities, while at the same time cultivating their own skills to ensure that they're marketable, not just simply today, for many years to come, and advance their career, advance their financial resources, and look out for themselves. Rod, thank you so much. Great interview. How can people find out about your book? What is the title of your book? How can they reach you about coaching and other services that you provide?
We'll keep it, Jeff will keep it nice and simple for your audience. The title of my book is called Win the Race for 21st Century Jobs. Put CEO power to your job search and your career, right? So, but all the information on my coaching and my radio program and my, speaking engagements and all of that is on my website, which is really easy. It's my name. It's rodcolon.com. That's R-O-D as in David, C-O-L-O-N as in Nancy, right? So rodcolon.com. You'll get all the information that you need.
Rod, thank you.